Welcome to the first episode of Ask Us Marketing of 2026. I'm your host, Kalli Fedusenko. I'm the founder of Savvy Advisor Marketing, a marketing agency developed to build relationships between financial advisors and their target audience using data to create websites, online content, and ads. We build relationships first and grow numbers second. Learn more about me and Savvy Advisor Marketing using the QR code right there. Now, you might be wondering, why are we kicking off A.U.M the last week of February? Well, we're very excited because one of the reasons we're doing this is that we wanted to spend a little more time strategizing what A.U.M was going to look like in 2026 and beyond. So what we're doing is we are creating category series that will be focusing on each month. It will kind of flow not seamlessly, like, oh, all of March is this, all of April is that. They might overlap into the months. But overall, this is what you can look forward to this year. March, making the most of AI. April, making human connections where everything is artificial. May will be client reviews. June will be what niching down looks like. July, focusing on one platform, meaning we'll spend each episode talking about a specific platform and how you can conquer it. If you want to do more on YouTube, we will have a YouTube episode. If you want to learn more about networking on LinkedIn, there's going to be a LinkedIn episode. August, we're going to be talking about professional versus relatable content. How do you find that balance? And what does it look like if you focus on just one side? We're going to interview advisors who are professional only and advisors who are really leaning into the relatable. That way you can see the difference and what's working for them and what might work for you. Come October, we're going to talk about the different types of marketing that you can employ. Agency versus a contractor versus somebody internal versus doing it yourself. What does it look like to do each one of those, and which one's going to fit you best? October will be agency. Nope, I just read that one to you. See, this is recorded live, meaning I still make mistakes and have coughing and clearing my throat because I am not perfect unless you edit my videos. Now, as I just mentioned, this is recorded live, so please still ask your questions in the comments, but I won't be able to answer them in the video. I will have to respond either via chat or you can schedule a call with me and I would be happy to talk with you one-on-one. Okay, November is auditing your marketing, figuring out what's actually working and what's not working for you. How do you do an audit? We're going to dig into that. And then December, we like to replay our best episodes because it's the holidays and you know what? Everybody wants a break. Okay, so that's part one of why Ask Us Marketing has been delayed. Part two is I'm expecting my first baby. Very exciting, very terrifying, but the first 6 weeks was very, very difficult. And there was no way I was going to be hosting a live stream. But here I am, I'm back, and I'm ready. Now, what does that mean for when the baby's ready to come? We're going to have some guest hosts taking my place. Temporarily, don't worry, you will see my face again. Unless you really don't want to see my face again, maybe we'll keep a guest host. Also, if you know an advisor who's killing it in one of the series categories that I just said, please nominate them. Send me an email. I would love to interview them to hear more about what they're doing. Or if you want to nominate yourself, completely fine. Okay, moving on. We are very excited and grateful that this episode, like our other episodes, is brought to you by the Financial Planning Association. You probably have heard of them, but under the name FPA. I've partnered with the FPA for many years. They are, even before I was doing marketing on my own, when I was on the advisor side. FPA is a great resource center. They provide education support and networking opportunities for advisors just like you. Now, if you're joining on the FPA channel, you're probably already a member. But if you're not, you should scan this QR code to learn more about how you can find your people, how you can find a community and resources that are going to help support you in your career. So just scan that QR code and you can learn more about the FPA. Okay, now we're just going to talk about this episode. So as I mentioned, we are talking about making the most of AI. So everyone thinks AI is going to make content creation effortless. Maybe I shouldn't say everyone, most people. But if you want your content to be good, it still takes strategy, creativity, and yes, a whole lot of polish. AI is not here to replace your marketing, it's not going to take over, it's going to enhance it. So today I want to show you, because I have had some questions, I want to show you how Savvy Advisor Marketing, our agency, is using AI tools to support client strategy, content, and creative workflows. So let's dig in. Again, ask your questions. I just won't be able to answer them in video. The first thing I want to tackle is, what is the right role for AI? So here in our agency, we really see AI as an assistant, not a strategist. And that really shapes how we use it. So I'm going to list off some of the AI software that we use. ChatGPT is the main one. We're using ChatGPT as we are brainstorming content, as we are researching audience and information on our clients and our clients' clients. AI can search things so much faster than we can. And it can give me statistics that would take me a long time to find on my own. Now, what we've done in ChatGPT, and actually, this is great. You can learn from some of my mistakes here. In ChatGPT, you can create custom GPTs, which is initially what I was doing for each of our clients. I then transitioned because I wanted to keep threads in a folder, and they created project folders. So I then started creating a project folder for each client. Now, what I have discovered is there's some overlap. I started using some of my preferences for client A when I was talking to it about client B, even though it's in a different project folder. So that has become an issue that we're going to have to go back to the custom GPTs. Another issue, if you've used ChatGPT, I'm sure that you've also faced this. If you stay in one thread for too long, it starts to hallucinate. That's what they call it, where it just starts saying crazy stuff, even when you ask it to specifically not do something. For instance, I absolutely hate when I see no fluff in a text description about something. I have asked it specifically not to say fluff in any of our content. But if I'm in a thread for too long, don't you know it starts doing that? It's also absolutely terrible for summarizing calls. So we record all of our calls with our clients. It's always great to be able to go back to. Thinking it would make my life easier, I uploaded transcripts to ChatGPT and asked it to make a summary and, what are some follow-ups. It would absolutely make up the phone call transcript. Talking about, you're supposed to put something in a platform that we don't even use. I know we didn't talk about that when I was talking to the client. So I do not use ChatGPT to summarize or take notes on phone calls. I use Gemini for that. Gemini is so much better. Another one that a lot of people use is Fathom Notes. My writer uses that. We use the Google platform at our agency, so I like to use Gemini because it's all contained in one place for me. Some other AI that we use the Adobe platform, which has introduced AI. Now, that doesn't mean that it's designing for us. It means that you send me a picture, a selfie that you took, and we want to make it look like a professional headshot. Still your face, but I'm going to take the background and I'm going to have AI come up with something. Or I'm going to use AI to select the subject. It does a way better job than me manually cutting out around your hair and shoulders. Some other places. So most of the Adobe software we're implementing AI, but it's very much an enhancement feature there. Video, I've been very disappointed with how they've implemented in the Adobe platform. So depending what the video is, if we need AI, which is pretty rare, to be honest, we're doing most of the editing ourselves. But if we want to use AI, I would use it for audio. 11 Labs is my favorite. It's phenomenal with audio. It can copy a person like almost perfectly. And for our Kevin Bacon videos, which I think I can bring up a QR code here. There you go. If you want to watch some of them to see what I'm talking about, I use 4 different AI software to create these videos. The first is ChatGPT helps me come up with the script. And then using the script, anything that I want him to be saying, I put in 11 Labs. Then after I have the audio from 11 Labs, I go to Hey Jen. And Hey Jen has just introduced where you can have a non-human avatar. It's last I used it, it was still pretty wonky. You would have to generate several times to get a version that actually worked. And even then, it doesn't move around very much. And if you watch these videos, we want him to be very animated. And then as he's talking about his experience, we want to show that. So that's where the next AI comes in, which is a video generator. And I've gone through a few. And I can tell you if you are interested, just leave a comment. I can tell you the name of the one that I've used most recently that has been the cheapest and does a good job. But we use a video generator. It produces either 15 seconds or 30 seconds. Usually we're doing 15 seconds because we don't need a whole 30 seconds. The videos themselves are 30 seconds. And it creates the video based on your prompt and the first frame of the video from the photo that you upload. So we usually upload the video of, where he is when he was talking. And then, okay, this is the first frame. And you'll see it'll like zoom out and then show whatever I've asked it to create. We've also used some image generators to make our 3D Kevins, like in that picture there. And again, I've had to play around with different image generators to find one that I liked. That has been a little bit difficult. Some other AI we use, as I'm sure you have noticed, everything is implementing AI. Sometimes you're using it, you don't even know you're using it. We use Monday.com for all of our project management, and they have some AI that they've introduced that I'm not selecting, but it's doing stuff behind the scenes. Now you can use their AI to make automations, which would be kind of like Zapier. But usually most of our automations are ones that I have manually created in the past. Which is part of why when you work at an agency, costs are more. You're not just paying for the delivery of the final product, you're paying for the process and the time, trial and error, and expertise it took to get to that process. So our project management is very robust. It includes our clients so that they can review items. It took a lot of time and expertise to put it together so it does what it's supposed to do. So that gives you kind of an overview of how we use AI and how it's not just a set it and forget it. Now, there are agents out there where you can tell it when this happens, go do that. I don't have much experience with that. And I still don't think I would be able to make what we're doing seamlessly automated. I just don't see a way where that would work. There always has to be, at least for our process, a human who is involved in almost every step. Okay. So I've given you overview of AI, how we're using it, a specific example with the Kevin Bacon video, ChatGPT with content planning. We also use chat for research when we are first putting together a brand guide for a client, as I mentioned before, because it can just search things so much faster, like audience demographics. We also use it sometimes for code cleanup. Maybe we've created code and something isn't working and our human eyes can't find it, and we'll have ChatGPT review it for where is the problem here. And then just overall efficiency. It just helps us with efficiency. Okay, so things that we've tried to automate, but where human still wins. Writing. You definitely have to have a human involved in writing. As I mentioned before, there are certain phrases, especially in the beginning, there are still some. There are phrases that ChatGPT will use that you know it's AI as soon as you see that phrase, such as no fluff. My email newsletter, it's no fluff. Yeah, so is everybody else's newsletter because you've used ChatGPT to describe it. There's also some very specific things that we try to do for our clients, like things that we want to implement so that their voice maintains their voice. And AI just misses the mark so often. And again, it helps with content creation ideas, but I have found it kind of it reuses and gets boring. I mean, I have to be there to have an idea. Otherwise, it becomes a little repetitive with what it's suggesting. Other things we've tried to automate. Well, there was a lot of trial and error with the whole video process, making an animation. Other things, there hasn't been too much. I mean, anything that there was an error is usually we're testing it internally before we would ever bring it to a client. And so we deal with it before you would ever deal with it. Now, also, I mean, automations, that's not technically AI a lot of the time, but if you're creating an automation, you have to double, triple check that it is working correctly. So I would say just in general software, like when this happens, when step 1 happens, step 2 automatically happens because step 1 triggered it. I'll be more specific because I can see this getting very vague. if you click on a button on my website to download something, you have to put your email in. You putting your email in triggers an automation that adds you to my CRM, and then will send you an email, and then add you to a drip campaign about that topic. Sometimes things will just stop working and you don't know it. So you always have to be involved, double checking the process, making sure. Maybe somebody's supposed to get notified. Maybe everything's happening correctly, but the person isn't getting notified. Those are just things that you just always have to have human oversight. How do we empower our teams? Everybody has access to our AI. We also have Grammarly, which we're checking to review grammar, obviously, Grammarly. What else? I don't know. Okay, for clients, Hey Jen is something that I would recommend looking into if you are considering doing a ton of videos. And hey, you don't want to put makeup on every day. You just want to do it once. There are a lot of options with Hey Jen where you can just write out a script and it will have you deliver it. Is it still in a developmental place? Yes. You're going to have to play around with it. It might not work. You might still want to record. It doesn't capture, minute facial details that you have. For instance, I'm a very animated facial person. Hey Jen isn't always going to pick that up. It's going to just have me in a smile talking like this most of the time. Maybe a little head bobbing. So there is some trial and error there, but if you are looking to increase video production, that is something to look at. Obviously, everybody should start looking at implementing AI optimization on your websites, which is very close but different from SEO. And it's still new. It's still new. I would be skeptical of anybody who calls themselves an expert in this. It reminds me a lot of when SEO first came out and everybody was like, I got to have SEO, but had no idea what it was. They were paying people for it and it only sometimes worked. It also, a lot of them, oh my gosh, it just came up with trash web pages, which, yeah, sure, you have maybe you're higher on the ranking, but you're not going to have any conversions because your website is poop now. It's just a bunch of keywords nobody wants to read. So I would be very, I don't want to say slow to implement, cautious about paying a lot of money at this stage for somebody else to implement AEO. However, if you're an advisor, I also wouldn't recommend spending a ton of time investing in learning AEO. I would find somebody who that's what they do day to day. But I would weigh the cost with how much you're putting out there. And I would just be cautious. That's all I'm going to say. Be cautious. AEO is new. Don't waste your money. Okay, we've already talked about the myth. You can't just set things and forget it with AI. I've given you tons of examples of why. And yes, I think agents, that's where we're going to see a lot of help going forward as far as time spent. But I'm going to say there's going to be problems. Just like any software that is trying to make your life easier, there are bumps. For instance, one of the things that we pride ourselves on here, and I mean, it takes a lot more time and commitment, quite honestly. We post directly on the platforms for our clients because it gives us specific options that you can't get if you were using a software that posts to all of the different places at once. Sometimes videos won't autoplay. Sometimes there's just options that the platform has just added that maybe you would be really good to take advantage of. You can't do that if you're using this third-party software that's posting for you, because they're just not fast enough to implement the new changes. And it's not their fault. It's just not practical. It's not possible. And I definitely see some of those same problems would be if you are having AI do things for you. Hopefully this gives you a good idea of, one, how agencies are used, or at least our agency, how we're implementing AI. But maybe that will also give you some ideas on how you can implement AI. Please ask questions. I'll get back to you. Yeah, content, I think you still have to have a human involved. Otherwise, just like just like those websites when SEO first came out and there was just crappy text where it was just keyword loaded, and when you would read it, it didn't say anything. It was just keywords. Like, you're not going to convert with that. And you're going to have the same problem if you are relying completely 100% on AI to develop your content for you. It'll be the same problem. Yes, you're producing more, but you're producing crap. So just go in knowing you still have to put in an investment of your own time. Even if you're working with an agency like me, yeah, we have a lot of human oversights and humans who are doing the work at our agency. But we still need the advisor. That's why we have calls every month. We want it to be in your voice. It's your brand. It's your service. We can do a lot, and we're really good at getting your voice down, but we still need you. You can't be out of the picture completely. There still has to be somebody, you or someone on your team, who is involved to keep your brand aligned. So AI or human, you should not be 100% hands off. And with that, I'll close. There's a lot of opportunity out there, guys. There's a lot of opportunity with AI, with marketing, with AI and marketing. But I would say don't spend too much time learning about this stuff. If it's taking you away from your other duties, find somebody who does this day to day, who's using AI frequently and can either answer your questions or do it for you. And be cautious of how much you're spending when you outsource these things, because it's still a lot of new and people will take advantage of that. Sad, but true. Okay. Now for real. We will close now. Look at this. I'm at 28 minutes. I was like, how am I going to do a whole episode just me talking? Well, went great. Join us next week. We're going to have one of our favorite returning guests, Matt Howler, and he is just so fun. You will love him. Matt recently transitioned from podcasting, Proudmouth, over to Zox, which is a AI that helps with your process internally. And we're going to talk about how can you make the most of AI? Not only make the most of AI, but how can you make the most of the time that you now have because you're using AI? And how can you spend that more intentionally on your marketing? So we'll be diving into that next week. Be sure to join us. Now, remember, we're doing Making the Most of AI as a series. He's our first guest of the series. And then, as I've mentioned throughout this entire episode, if you have questions and you don't want to put it in chat, or it's too complicated for chat, or you really just want to talk to somebody, or you just really want to talk to me, use this QR code and you can schedule a call with me one-on-one directly. I'd be happy to talk about AI to the best of my ability. I would be happy to connect you with many of my professional friends who do marketing. Maybe they focus on something I don't. Use me as a resource. I am here. And until I see you next week with Matt, I hope you have a fantastic week and productive week.